6 isometric holds that rebuild your entire body after 50. No equipment needed. If you made it here, it is because you want isometric exercises that truly work after 50 without needing any equipment. That is exactly what you will find here. 6 holds that work the entire body in a way most people never imagined possible using only their own body weight. Before we begin, please leave a comment with your name and the city you are watching from. We would love to know. Exercise number 1, isometric bear crawl hold. Some exercises seem too simple to be true, and the isometric bear crawl hold is one of them. Originating from floor gymnastics and widely used in military training, it earned its place by working the body in a way few exercises can. It simultaneously activates the shoulders, the core, the quadriceps, the glutes, and the spinal erectors in a single sustained position. The difference between the dynamic version and the isometric version lies precisely in the pause. You assume the position and hold, and it is in that pause that the body is forced to recruit an impressive amount of stabilizing musculature all at once. For those over 50, this is especially valuable because that stabilization is what maintains quality of movement in everyday activities. Regular practitioners report significant improvement in shoulder stability, reduction in lower back pain, and greater proprioception in daily tasks. This happens because the position demands that the core work without pause to stabilize the spine, while the arms and legs support the weight of the body. To perform correctly, start on all fours with your hands directly below your shoulders and your knees below your hips. Then lift your knees slightly off the ground, just a few inches. Hold that position with your body parallel to the floor, your spine neutral, and your breathing continuous. A very common mistake is letting the hips rise too high, turning the position into something resembling a downward-facing dog. This removes much of the tension from the core and shoulders. Holding your breath is another frequent error. Breathe steadily, and the time under tension will become far more productive. For beginners, start with 15 to 20 seconds for 2 sets. Progress to 30 to 45 seconds for 3 sets, with 45 to 60 seconds of rest between them. Contraindications: people with severe carpal tunnel syndrome, wrist injuries, or acute inflammatory conditions in the shoulders should consult a professional before including this exercise in their routine. Exercise number 2, Superman hold. Before talking about the Superman hold, it is worth asking, have you ever felt that dull ache in your lower back after sitting for hours? The isometric Superman is one of the most direct antidotes to that, and it costs absolutely nothing. The name comes from the position the body assumes, lying face down with arms and legs extended like a superhero in full flight. In the isometric version, you rise into that position and hold. It is simple to describe, but it demands quite a lot from the posterior chain. What makes this exercise particularly valuable is the fact that it works the entire posterior chain in a single position. This includes the glutes, the hamstrings, the spinal erectors, and the muscles of the mid-back. For those who spend many hours sitting, this posterior musculature tends to be shortened and weakened at the same time, a combination that creates overload on the spine and chronic pain. To perform correctly, lie face down on a firm surface with your arms extended above your head. Simultaneously lift your arms, your chest, and your legs off the ground, keeping all limbs extended. Your gaze should remain directed downward, avoiding hyperextension of the neck. Actively squeeze your glutes throughout the entire duration of the exercise. A common mistake is lifting only the upper body or only the lower body without coordinating the movement. This reduces the activation of the stabilizing muscles. Another point of attention is forcing the neck upward in search of greater range, which can create unnecessary cervical tension. Start with sets of 15 to 20 seconds and progress to 30 to 45 seconds. 2 to 3 sets with 30 to 45 seconds of rest between them already deliver consistent results. Contraindications: people with an active herniated disc, spinal stenosis, or inflammatory processes in the lumbar spine should consult a physician before performing this exercise. Now we come to one of the most underrated exercises on this entire list. Before we continue, if you're over 50, take a look at this statistic. According to the WHO, between 28 and 35% of people over 65 suffer at least one fall each year. More than 70% of these falls happen inside the home. And today, falls are the leading cause of loss of independence among older adults worldwide. Many people blame it on bad luck, but in reality, it comes down to a lack of strength, balance, mobility, and physical preparedness. That's why our team created Biological Armor, a complete protocol for people in their 50s, 60s, or 70s who want to make sure they never go through that. Inside the protocol, you'll get a special home exercise program designed to build functional strength, real balance, and reverse years of poor posture and physical neglect without damaging your joints. You'll also learn the habits scientists have identified as common among the populations with the highest life expectancy in the world, habits that less than 1% of the Western population actually practices. Access it now by clicking the pinned link in the first comment of this video, or by pointing your phone's camera at the code appearing on the screen. Exercise number 3, dead hang. The dead hang is exactly what the name suggests. You hang from a bar and stay there. No movement, no swinging. Just your own body weight pulling you down while your hands hold everything up. It seems like very little, but what happens to the spine and the shoulders in that process is remarkable. When you hang, gravity performs a natural decompression of the vertebrae. For someone over 50 who carries years of accumulated gravitational pressure, the dead hang works like a reset. Observational studies suggest that this passive decompression may relieve pressure on the intervertebral discs and reduce chronic stiffness and lower back pain. In addition, the dead hang builds grip strength, which is one of the functional measures most associated with longevity and physical independence. Research published in the journal The Lancet indicates a direct correlation between grip strength and cardiovascular health in adults over 50. To perform correctly, grip a sturdy bar with both hands at shoulder width. Let your body relax completely without attempting to pull yourself up. The spine should lengthen naturally. Your feet can lightly touch the ground in a more accessible version, or stay in the air for the full version. Breathe calmly and deeply. The most common mistake is tensing the shoulders up toward the ears. The ideal is to keep them slightly depressed, as if trying to pull them away from your ears, ensuring the joint stays in a safe position and the exercise is fully beneficial. For beginners, start with 10 to 15 seconds and progress to 20 to 30 seconds for 2 to 3 sets. Contraindications: people with rotator cuff injuries, severe shoulder instability, or circulatory problems in the upper limbs should avoid this exercise or perform only the feet on the ground version under professional supervision. Exercise number 4, reverse tabletop bridge. The reverse tabletop bridge, also known as the tabletop hold, is one of the most complete posterior chain exercises you can do without any equipment. And while it builds strength, it also works shoulder and hip mobility at the same time, a rare combination. The position consists of sitting on the floor, placing your hands behind your body with fingers pointing toward your feet, and lifting your hips until your torso is parallel to the ground, forming the table shape. At that point, you hold the position. What happens in that moment is an intense activation of the glutes, the hamstrings, and the muscles that stabilize the shoulder blades. Speaking of the gluteus maximus, it is worth highlighting that it is the largest muscle in the human body, something that 99% of people do not know. Having it well developed and active produces a significant excess post-exercise oxygen consumption effect, meaning the body continues burning energy for hours after the exercise. For those over 50 who want to keep their metabolism working well, that is a considerable bonus. In addition, the glute plays a fundamental role in stabilizing the pelvis and preventing lower back pain, a function that becomes even more critical with aging. To perform correctly, sit on the floor with your knees bent and your feet flat in front of you. Place your hands behind your hips, with your fingers pointing forward or slightly to the sides. Press your feet and hands into the floor as you lift your hips until your torso is parallel to the ground. Actively squeeze your glutes and keep your neck in a neutral position without letting your head drop back or forward. A frequent mistake is letting the hips sink during the hold, especially as the effort increases. If that happens, reduce the time and focus on consciously contracting the glutes before increasing the duration. Another point of attention is hand placement. Placing your hands too far from the body unnecessarily increases tension on the wrists. Start with 20 to 25 seconds for 2 sets. Progress to 40 to 50 seconds for 3 sets with 30 to 45 seconds of rest. Contraindications: people with wrist injuries, severe arthritis in the hands, or shoulder instability issues should adapt the exercise by supporting on the forearms, or avoid it until cleared by a medical professional. Before we continue, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Having consistent access to science-based information is what will help you progress with long-term health in your fitness journey. Exercise number 5, isometric push-up hold. The isometric push-up hold is the exercise on this list that feels most familiar. Everyone knows the traditional push-up, but very few people have ever thought about stopping in the middle of the movement and staying there. And it is exactly that stopping in the middle that transforms a well-known exercise into a powerful tool for stability and functional strength. The beauty of this exercise lies in its ability to recruit muscles that the dynamic push-up moves through quickly. By holding the position with the elbows bent and the body parallel to the ground, you force the chest, triceps, anterior deltoids, and core to work under continuous maximum tension. That is high-level time under tension, with no additional load whatsoever. To perform correctly, assume the starting position of a standard push-up. Hands on the ground at shoulder width, body in a straight line from head to heels. Lower slowly until your elbows reach approximately 90 degrees of flexion, and pause completely. The elbows should point slightly backward, not out to the sides, which reduces stress on the shoulders. The core must be engaged to prevent the hips from sagging. Scapular retraction, gently squeezing the shoulder blades together during the exercise, is essential for protecting the shoulders and ensuring the chest is properly recruited. Without it, much of the work falls on the shoulders in an improper way. The most common mistake is letting the hips sag, which overloads the lower back. If you notice that happening, reduce the time under tension and consciously reinforce the core engagement. For those who do not yet have sufficient strength, the version with knees on the ground is completely valid. Start with 15 to 20 seconds for 2 sets and progress to 30 to 45 seconds for 3 sets. Contraindications: people with shoulder impingement syndrome, active wrist tendinitis, or rotator cuff injuries should avoid this exercise until cleared by a healthcare professional. Exercise number 6, plank. If there is one exercise that represents the isometric in its purest and most efficient form, it is the plank. Everyone has heard of it, many people have tried it, and few actually perform it with the quality needed to reap the real results it offers. The plank simultaneously works virtually the entire core musculature, including the rectus abdominis, the obliques, the transverse abdominis, and the spinal erectors. What many people do not know is that it also significantly recruits the glutes, the hip muscles, and the shoulder stabilizers. It is in practice a full-body exercise disguised as an abdominal exercise. It is worth remembering that core training is not synonymous with getting a flat stomach. The primary function of the core is to stabilize the spine during all movements of the body, and that is exactly what the plank trains. Regular practitioners tend to report fewer episodes of lower back pain and a noticeable improvement in overall posture, 2 highly relevant benefits for those over 50. To perform correctly, rest your forearms on the ground with your elbows directly below your shoulders. The balls of your feet are on the ground with your body in a straight line from head to heels. Draw your abdomen in as if pulling your navel toward your spine. Your glutes should be actively squeezed and your gaze directed toward the floor. The key is to keep your hips from rising or sinking. Hips that are too high remove tension from the core. Hips that sag overload the lower back. One mistake I see many people make is holding their breath in the final seconds. Breathe in a controlled and continuous manner to increase the efficiency of the contraction. For beginners, start with 20 to 30 seconds for 2 sets. Progress to 45 to 60 seconds for 3 sets, reducing the rest to 45 seconds as your endurance increases. Contraindications: people with an active lumbar herniated disc, severe shoulder impingement syndrome, or very high blood pressure should adapt or avoid this exercise, opting for gentler versions under professional supervision. You now know the 6 main exercises. Next come the bonus exercises, and they are well worth it. Bonus exercise number 1, single leg balance hold. The single leg balance hold is exactly what the name says, standing on one leg. It seems too simple to belong on a list of serious exercises, but the science of aging has something important to say about it. The ability to balance on a single leg for at least 10 seconds has been associated in recent studies with indicators of cardiovascular and neurological health. For people over 50, working on this balance is not optional. It is a functional necessity. What happens when you stand on one leg is more complex than it appears. The ankle, the knee, the hip, and all the musculature of the core are activated simultaneously to maintain stability. The gluteus medius works intensely to stabilize the pelvis. In addition, the nervous system is challenged to coordinate proprioceptive information coming from different parts of the body at the same time. To perform correctly, stand with your feet together and your gaze fixed on a point in front of you. Slowly lift one knee to hip height and hold. The standing knee should be slightly bent, never locked. Keep your torso upright and your core engaged. Avoid leaning to the side or forward. As your balance improves, increase the challenge by closing your eyes for a few seconds. This forces the nervous system to rely even more on the proprioceptive input from your feet and ankles, multiplying the neuromotor benefits. A frequent mistake is habitually resting against something for support. If there is a real risk of falling, having a wall nearby is a wise precaution. But constantly touching the wall with a fingertip significantly reduces muscle recruitment and proprioceptive benefit. Start with 20 to 30 seconds per leg for 2 sets. Progress to 40 to 50 seconds for 3 sets per side. Contraindications: people with acute ankle injuries, severe peripheral neuropathy, or recent episodes of dizziness or vertigo should perform this exercise close to a wall or under supervision. Bonus exercise number 2, isometric calf raise hold. The isometric calf raise hold closes this list with an important lesson. Smaller muscles tend to be the most neglected, and frequently the ones that have the greatest impact on quality of life over the long term. The calf is known among physiologists as the second heart of the human body. That is not an exaggeration. It is responsible for pumping blood from the lower extremities back up to the heart, working against gravity at all times. In people over 50, the calf musculature frequently weakens from lack of specific stimulus, and that directly affects circulation, balance, and even cardiovascular health. The isometric version of the calf raise consists of rising up onto the balls of your feet and holding the position at the highest point of the movement. This creates continuous tension in the muscle fibers of the calf, which are predominantly slow twitch and respond very well to this type of stimulus. To perform correctly, stand with your feet parallel, hip width apart, slowly rise onto the balls of your feet to your maximum height and hold at that point. Keep the arches of your feet aligned, avoiding rolling your ankles inward or outward. If possible, perform the exercise on a step with your heels off the edge to increase the range of motion and muscle recruitment. Varying the foot position brings additional benefits. Parallel feet work the calf more evenly. Feet slightly turned out emphasize the medial head of the muscle. Feet slightly turned in emphasize the lateral head. This variation ensures that the entire calf musculature is worked across sessions. Beyond muscle strengthening, strong calves play a direct role in fall prevention. And you know how much a fall can impact the quality of life of someone over 50. No need to answer. Prevention is worth far more than any treatment afterward. Start with 15 to 20 seconds in the held position for 2 sets. Progress to 30 to 45 seconds for 3 sets with 30 seconds of rest between them. Contraindications: people with active Achilles tendonitis, acute plantar fasciitis, or severe sciatic nerve involvement should consult a physical therapist before performing this exercise regularly. If you enjoyed this and want to discover another isometric exercise widely practiced in communities across Asia to undo years of poor posture and unhealthy habits using only your own body, we have a video appearing on screen right now showing what that ancient Asian hold is. Make sure to check it out and also take a look at our biological armor protocol. Thank you for watching all the way through, and may God bless you, my friend.